Uncorked with Kit is brought to you by Victoria's Cuppy Cup Cottage. Get yourself or someone you love a custom-made stainless steel tumbler at victoriascuppycups.etsy.com. She offers a variety of styles, colors, and sizes to choose from. When you use the promo code UNCORKED, you'll get $5 off your first purchase. A link in the description below.
Hello, this is the Selfie Superstar. This is Too Hot Steve Scott, and you are listening to Uncorked with Kit. Yes, Kit.
Bam! Bam!
Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the 7th edition of Uncorked with Kit. Today is Wednesday, January 27th, 2021, and my guest today is one of the best in deathmatch wrestling, a member of the Nation of Intoxication. He's the Wrench. On Wikipedia, he's known as an American professional wrestler, but to me, he's one of my best friends in wrestling in this business. Please welcome Conor Claxton. Conor, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you, Quick Kit?
Good, man. So welcome to Uncorked with Kit, you know, as if I don't see you way too often.
I agree.
So what this show is all about, even though as a friend I would think that you would know, but you don't ask me questions because you don't really care about me, and that's fine. But so what I do is I get a wine that I think depicts or describes who I'm interviewing, and I'm literally hearing myself on this stupid thing.
It's my phone. What the fuck do you want me to do? Turn my
Get a
sound
better
off?
phone.
I have an iPhone fucking 10 or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, well, you know.
Is that better? I turned you down a little bit. Does that help?
I have a 12, actually. But anyway, so the one I got, I went to the Acme, not bragging, and I saw this one that had a dude in a suit, and all it did was just remind me of us as The Office. So that's why I picked this one, and I thought we would do a box wine, you know, because why not? Switch it up.
I'm a classy gal, though. I only get the box.
Dude, the box. I mean, you know, I always thought of you as more of like a quantity over quality kind of person.
Fair point. Fair point.
This other one was called Cockburn, but it was just too sweet, and I just didn't want it. So
Cockburn, nice.
Yeah, it was like Cockburn, like ruby red or some shit. I was like, you know, I think I'm just gonna stick with the cap. So that's what we got going on here. Jesus Christ, you freeze?
Yeah, I didn't have my Wi-Fi
better?
turned on. There we go.
Thank you for being prepared. You know, on this very professional show with
Fuck off.
Fucking fake wood.
I just woke up from my after-work nap like 5 minutes before I turned this on.
Dude, I feel like everybody I interview on this thing, like, so you're my 7th guest, and every single time I have somebody, they just woke up from a nap.
Well,
And then their response is, I almost didn't go.
I'm going to take my nap. I'm an old fucking man. I can't stay awake. What the fuck do you want me to do?
I don't know, man. I don't want you to do anything.
I get tired, you know, talking to people all day.
Yeah, I know. So I have fan questions, wrestling and non-wrestling related. I know that you hate wrestling, so
wrestling sucks.
Yeah, we just do it, and you're just kind of too invested into it now.
Basically, basically, I never watched wrestling or was a wrestling fan growing up. I mean, I watched it maybe for like, a couple months and like when I was like 10. I was never into it, never liked it. I started wrestling impulsively, and then next thing I know, it was like, 9 years later, and I put too much work into it now to just stop.
Yeah, now we're just too invested into like, having that house at the end of a cul-de-sac and then just slowly resenting everybody.
Exactly.
Well, so one of the questions, like people, they want to know, well, how did you find, I think everybody knows you came from CZW, but how did you find the CZW school, and what made you reach out to, whoever, and then start training?
So it started, I guess I started wrestling because I have a friend who you actually met before I ever started wrestling. Do you remember the kid? You went to some WrestleMania or a Raw or something?
Yeah.
Some random short kid, like 5'5", fat kid that looks like a keg.
Yeah, and you sent me a picture.
Well, that kid's name is Phil Cartucci. He's one of my best friends from high school. Been friends with the kid since I was 15 years old. I would hang out at his house all the time, and he always had, I think it might have been Smoky Mountain Wrestling. It was like fucking, Cactus Jack, Terry Funk, Al Snow, Canis, the Unabomber. And he always had it on at his house when I'd be there, and it looked fucking awesome. And that's when I started seeing deathmatch wrestling. And I wanted to see it, and I'm like, I could fucking do that. And at the time, I just lost like 100 pounds. I was like up by 300 pounds. So I'm like, I was thinking about I'm going to start wrestling, or I'm going to go play football. And I ended up going to wrestling. I Googled wrestling schools. And in my area, 3 schools popped up: Chikara, ROH, and CZW. My first was ROH because it was the closest, but it turns out that school is like fucking rent. I mean, obviously it's a very good school with surrounded by talented people, but I don't have $400 or $500 a month to show up for an impulsive thing.
Right.
I kept going to CZW. The next person I emailed was the wonderful, fabulous DJ Hyde. He emailed me back almost immediately. So that's basically how I ended up at CZW. I went into training on a Monday, and I did my tryout with, I went in, the only people there that day was, I don't know if you remember that chick Sam who used to train there. She was like the professional dancer.
Yeah, she had like this short hair, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, she was hot. And then there was, and then David Starr was there that day, and David Starr did my tryout. And that was how I started wrestling. And then, I basically got sucked into it. I felt motivated for a long time, put a couple years of work into it. But then, then I just realized I don't really like wrestling. Wrestling sucks, but, put too much, as I said, I put too much work into it to quit now.
What year was that? What year was that? Like
2012, I think, or 2011.
Okay.
And Frankie Picard started training within like 2 months of each other at CZW.
Jeez. Yeah, you guys have wrestled and like pretty much I countless fucking times that you don't even really need to call anything. When I remember when I first met you, you called me sir. That was quite lovely. Now I can barely get a like hello out of you. I get like a hey, or get out of my fucking way. That's pretty much what I get now.
Well, that was Kit. That was before I knew people. Gulak really instilled in me on locker room etiquette and supporting your being respectful to your vets and stuff. So before I knew who you were, I just assumed that everybody was important. Then I learned the truth of, who the fuck you are, and that doesn't really matter if I say hello to you or not.
Yeah.
You should consider yourself lucky that I do sometimes still say hello to you.
I'm literally surprised, that you don't just come walking at me with like a fist just to scare me,
I do.
and then just walk away.
I just hate you sometimes.
You know what it's come to now is like anytime we have a show together, and we're both in the ring, whether we're actually working with each other or not. Like it's 9 out of 10 times you're like, hey kid, come here, I just want to try something real quick, and then you just fucking grab me. All my shit's in my pocket, don't even ask, and then you
Well, see
and you
what
just do
that is.
whatever it is.
You're like, what are you, about like 170 pounds?
170, yeah, about.
Okay. So like I try new things on you, and then if I can do it to you, if I'm strong enough to do it to you, then I move on to the 200-pound pluckers.
Yeah, like to like a real performer.
Exactly. A real man.
Yeah, that means story of my life, dude. When you first started to do it, and then you went through all the training. You and I both, we had Drew a lot for a lot of it. But when you first got and started doing deathmatch wrestling, you started doing it like almost immediately. That's what you really liked.
I had my first ever match in March.
What were your first thoughts?
I mean, I walked in.
What were your first thoughts?
I had what?
I was saying, what were your first thoughts like about even doing deathmatch wrestling? Like you can watch it on TV and that's fine, but like when you're there and you finally see like somebody getting slammed in the face with glass, or raped with, whatever, or landing on tacks, like it's a little overwhelming. I think like when you see it in person compared to when you're looking at it on like a shitty video.
I mean, yeah, the concept of flying through glass and stabbing or getting stabbed with things and slicing your body up, breaking glass. I mean, the idea of that can be nerve-wracking. I was more nervous about not doing a good job in a wrestling match than I was ever getting hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm no idiot, and this is why I've always explained that deathmatch wrestling isn't stupid, because I am well aware of the consequences. It'd be stupid if I did these matches and expected to be okay. The fact that I do these matches knowing well aware that I could die at any moment with a wrong piece of glass, that makes it apathy, not stupidity.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, I mean, I was always more worried about not having a good match than getting hurt. Sometimes I have specific spots where I'm like, this is going to be real fucking sketchy. I might get super fucked up for this. I just hope I can continue doing the match after it,
Yeah. What do you enjoy the most in, as a performer? What do you enjoy the most, like in matches? Like, is it like telling a story? Is it just having that spot? Is it just simply like the pop from the crowd? Like, what was the most intriguing, something that you wanted to attain?
Oh, geez. I never really give a fuck about the crowd. I mean, people would say they do it for the fans. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck how, I mean, I guess I do give a fuck how well it's received, because I want to be, seen as a good wrestler and who has good matches. But at the end of the day, like, I don't really give a shit about the love of the fans. It doesn't really mean anything to me. I just want my respect as a wrestler as opposed to the love of the fans.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I mean, I'm glad. I mean, I think the fans are just there. They're kind of like a title belt, according to some. They're just a prop.
I mean, I guess you can make that stretch a little bit of a stretch, but I guess you could say that.
I'm kidding. Title belts are way more important. Now, I mean, now you've been doing it, dude. It's almost been a decade since you started training.
Yeah.
Where do you see? Where do you see yourself going? Do you see yourself doing this till you can't move and you're like old and decrepit, or
as much
do you
as
have
I
like
say that wrestling sucks, I'll probably be Terry Funkin' this shit. You'll never hear me say I'm retired, because I know if I ever try to fucking say it, it's not going to be true. I'm going to come back. We talked about this, this other weekend. Without wrestling, what the fuck am I? I'm just a, fucking regular dude. That's fucking boring.
That's essentially it.
Plus the bitches, man, they love it.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I was talking about it with Matt last week, um, and I was like, dude, I don't know how you can just say like he's 31. So I mean, I don't know how you can, you must have like a
Matt's
lot.
31.
Yeah, he's 31. I know, right?
Matt's younger than me.
Yeah, Matt 3 months younger than you.
Oh, I'm gonna start picking on him. Like I'm gonna start giving him noogies. You little boy.
I know. Like get that thing on his head.
Yeah.
But he I just couldn't fathom the idea of like at 31, like me now, like I have, no real obligations or anything that are holding me back. It's like, well, why would I ever want to stop doing this unless I can't anymore? And, or until that one day when somebody like you, just goes, oh, he's smaller. He doesn't feel pain, and then just breaks my bones and then that's it.
I mean, that's probably what'll happen to me. If I really was worried about the well-being of my body, I probably wouldn't smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
Or wear my seatbelt. All these are signs of apathy towards my health and well-being.
I mean, remember B-Boy? I remember when he was like, I drink, I smoke, I'm an athlete. And I think that really stuck with me. That really stuck with me.
I don't care if people smoke or don't work out. I mean, if you look like shit, that's on you. But if I see and actually get blown up, that's fucking rude. That's disrespectful. You weren't prepared for this match. I'm going to take liberties and make myself look good now.
I think that's smart.
I'll smoke all I want, but I'm not going to get blown up.
It is. I mean, if there's,
I'll make them look good. Sorry, what? What'd you
dude,
say?
I mean, there, how many of those wrestlers, like, have we seen like come and go, and they just really wanted to play dress up, and they didn't really want to do anything in the ring. They just kind of wanted to look the part, and that was it. And then they went in the ring, and then they didn't have any. It's like, who trained you, and then who let you in here? It seems like you just borrowed your parents' money, and then you bought yourself a pair of wrestling boots, and then you got in there, and that I see that. I remember that happening a lot, and that's not something that we really see much. I don't think anymore.
You're doing it. I hate those fucking marks again because I was never a mark. So when I see people who come into this business just so they can mark out for themselves, who they quit training because they can't handle it. They don't do this. They don't want to actually put in any work. They just want to have that moment. They just want to have matches and invite their friends and family and post pictures on Facebook and think shit like that. I fucking hate that. That shit triggers me.
One of the things I talked to, I was talking to Matt about, which it kind of made me think a little bit differently. Like, we were always told, you have to travel, you have to be everywhere. Like, anytime there's a car, get in it and go, and that's great. But there's also those guys that, dude, I keep hearing myself. There's those guys that they only want to work for one company, like H2O for an example, and if like they want to just work there and you can highlight their best qualities, then they're perfect for your promotion in that area. Obviously individually, like, they're not going to go very far unless somebody lucks out and is watching that show. But that whole you bet you got to get in a car every weekend, and if you don't do that, that means you're not taking this serious. And I don't really think that's like the case anymore.
Even I wouldn't agree with that. I mean, you can put in the work if you're trained, and again, even I can't talk too much about looking like shit because I've never had a great wrestler body. But as long as you're putting in the work, you're fucking trained. People have lives. People have different shit. Not everybody has the ability to travel. I know traveling at first was really hard for me because for most years of my wrestling, I made my living as a bartender. So when you ask me to travel all weekend long, I make more than half of all my weekly pay on the weekend. So I
Yeah.
have to not bartend, go get in this car, probably not make any money. So, I'm lucky. Fortunately, I was able to make it work a lot. But again, I understand people got fucking lives. I mean,
Right.
unless you're already signed, it's hard to dedicate your life to this unless you have, someone who can support you or a backup plan, things like that.
Yeah, have that financial net is important. And you look so adorable in your bed, by the way. But having that financial safety net is something I think that that's not really addressed a lot, and I think it's because when people are training, obviously at an academy, like they only care about that you're bringing in the money every week, and they can only guide you so much. But for us just talking and like going, hey, if you don't have health insurance, like literally the day you don't have it is going to be the day you get hurt. And, and those are things that I don't think are talked about a lot. And I don't think those are things that like a lot of fans even understand because they don't, they just don't understand how wrestling works. Like once you're hurt, like you're fucking out. Like there's only so much you can do, and you look at guys like Gage, who have such a great following, but even him, we all struggle.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have always been able to, work and not even when I broke my foot, I had a walking boot on. I was still able to, hobble around the back of a bar and, make my money. I've said that before. Is there's a lot of things in wrestling that people say shouldn't happen or unsafe. And the main example, the one thing people don't like are chops. When you just fucking wind up and slap the shit out of someone's chest. A lot of people in our business have a problem with that. I don't, and I'll tell you why. Because my argument against this, yeah, it fucking sucks. It doesn't feel fucking good. But at the end of the day, you're not knocked out. You're going to be able to continue the match. And more importantly, you're going to be able to go to work on Monday. And that's why that's always been my argument for, things like that. But,
I don't understand. I don't understand how somebody is like willing to do whatever ridiculous move at like the top rope, like land on your neck, and like that's completely fine. But like you don't want to take a chop or you don't want to have like a strike exchange. It's like, dude, I mean, I'm confident that like I can make the sound of a chop and make it sound great, and the crowd get into it. And then guess what? We all like, what? Oh man, is it a little tender? Ah, shit! What are you gonna have a heart attack? Like, no, you're gonna be fine. And it just creates a good, it creates that sound just like light tubes, man. Like when you hear that pop, dude, the crowd goes nuts. And really, it's not that crazy unless it, less often, is it gonna get you and cut you a certain way? But chops, I think, are like they're my favorite thing to do in all of wrestling. You can tell a whole story with it.
I like them a lot because it's one of the few things that we do that almost every single person in that crowd, it's a pain they can relate to. Not everybody in that crowd has been dropped on their head, but a lot of people have been slapped or, they had the back, they've been, been 5-starred by their big brother, things like that. It's a pain that a lot of people in the crowd can feel when they watch it happen. I like chops.
Yeah. Chops rule, man. Like
plus I have big hands, so it's easy to make people bleed with one shot.
Yeah, like what I've started to do is I take my right hand and then I put like the gig and I put it right there and then I'm just kidding. right in the throat.
I've seen shit like that.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
I've seen plenty of shit happen like with that plenty of times. Luckily, it's never been me. I've seen people do that before matches, before the match, just walking around. They actually slice someone the fuck open. It's hilarious. It really makes my day.
I love it. I love like I'm happy that I've never had like any real heat with anybody, which is really surprising because I am a fucking asshole. Like and I really push buttons. Like, you know, like I bet you don't like when people poke you like that, do you? You know, but I've never really had any issues where like somebody was trying to stiff me and hurt me in the ring. You know, unless it's like DJ, but like DJ doesn't really count. Like he does that with like he would do that with love, you know. So you know, surprisingly. But
DJ
have you
always
ever
told me if anyone
have
hits you
you
to hit him
ever
back, and the first time DJ hit me,
Oh,
I had to
and
fucking
then when you
rock
go
him
in the
back.
back,
He hit me fucking
yeah.
hard. He
And then
looked
when
like
he gave
he
me a
looked like
headbutt once, and I had this like
he does
I
that
had this,
fucking training.
this hard, weird head, right? And DJ once he was like, "Grit your teeth," and I'm like, "What?" All right, bam, and he like fucking gave himself the biggest bump on his forehead. And then when we went to the back, he was like, "Yo, man, like, what's you know?" And it was like it was my fault all of a sudden.
I'll do a shoot headbutt if it makes sense for the match. I'm not gonna go in a match with somebody I don't know and start throwing around shoot headbutts.
Oh yeah.
It's either gonna be someone I know is okay with, or I'm gonna flat out fucking ask them. You know,
Dude, it's all about it's all about knowing that your head is harder than the person you're wrestling, you know? Like when DJ said it, I'm like, dude, I know you got a big head, but like it's really soft and bulky. Like mine, I got this weird Polish fucking head that's really hard, and it's weird. Like I've never really had any concussions or anything, surprisingly. So I don't think you're gonna win this one, you know. And lo and behold, he doesn't because his head, you know, it just didn't work out for him. But
that's surprising because that motherfucker has a big fucking head.
But a big head doesn't always mean anything. Like I'm pretty sure I'd rather not headbutt an 8-ball, you know. But I'd probably choose like an 8-ball over a bowling ball.
I'd go with the 8-ball still.
I don't know, man. I think. Wait, yeah, the 8-ball. That's what I said. Like I would go with the 8-ball over the bowling ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so the size doesn't always matter. It's just it matters what your background is. You know.
Okay.
I don't know. I just made that up. I'm probably gonna get it.
I've had
The question
concussions at this point that like more concussions are minuscule. Like, so I can afford a few concussions because the total adding to the total amount doesn't really matter anymore. When you've had 15 or so concussions, you can afford 16, 17, and 18. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't make too much of a difference what's going to happen to your motor skills at that point.
Basically, what you're saying is you know your limit to the point where you're not going to kill your family. Like, is that it?
No, what I'm saying is if I am at that point where I have the kind of brain damage that I'm going to kill my family, I'm probably already there, so a few more aren't going to hurt.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Because before I ever did wrestling, I played football for almost a decade, and then years of MMA. I hit my concussion limit before I ever walked into a wrestling school, and then I started deathmatch wrestling. So
yeah,
that'll tell you a lot right there.
To be honest, deathmatch wrestling is probably safer than like any MMA or football.
I don't know. I mean, I never feel them in the moment. I just feel
because you did it
forgetting
later.
things, and I forget people's names that I've known for years. There are girls that I've had like year-long relationship with. I can't remember their names sometimes.
Yeah, that's just age, you know.
I hope so.
I mean, at the end of, dude, did anybody teach you to, tuck your chin? Because that's usually what you know. That could have been it. There's a lot of different answers, but the question was like, was there ever a time in which somebody tried to like take advantage of you in the ring, or like how you were saying, like they literally were disrespectful, not just forgetting spots. Like everybody forgets spots. I fucking never remember my shit. But
people forget
somebody
spots
that
all the
took
time.
advantage and it was disrespectful that you were like, dude, you're a dick, and now you're gonna see what happens. Like, was there ever? Do you have any stories? I know that it's happened.
Yeah, let me see. What do I feel like talking about? I mean, the very simple one is DJ Hyde. When you're one of DJ Hyde's students, he wants to hurt you.
Yep.
There was like a time period at Dojo Wars where he gave out a concussion like 3 weeks in a row, and he made an awful joke. He said, it's like living in a post-lariat world. That's what he called it. That's what he called every time he gave someone a concussion. And
God.
the first time he wrestled me, it was at Dojo Wars. He gave me one of it, not the forearm that he gives, but like the flapper to like the side of the face and the fucking ear. I didn't even like give it time to register in my mind. It was like, bam, and I immediately just rocked his jaw. And he stumbled back. He looked like someone, he was not expecting that to me. Because again, at the time, I was a greenie. I kept my mouth shut a lot and just, played the nice, respectful role. He looked like someone, like his puppy just fucking bit him. He was not fucking ready for that. I mean, I've had plenty of guys, no one who really like, I'm a bigger guy. No one's really like taking liberties with me. Most people I wrestle, I have to give them a receipt. There was one guy, Zach Wentz, and I love Zach, so I'll talk shit on him. And this is a match which made me fall in love with Dan Yost as well, because we were working and he elbowed me right in the fucking jaw and then kneed me right in the fucking nose. And I'm bleeding out of my mouth and my nose. And he covers me, and I'm flipping the fuck out. I'm screaming. While he's pinning me, I'm like, Zach, you hit me one more fucking time, and I'm going to, at that exact moment, I hear Dan Yost like, Conor, kick out. I'm like, oh, shit. And I kicked out. I almost threw the match because I was so mad yelling at Zach. I almost forgot.
You weren't even listening to the count.
I wasn't listening to the count at all. I'm sitting there like, Zach, you hit me one more fucking time, I'm going to punch you in your fucking face. There's been a lot of times. Masada, he likes to hit hard. I mean, and then again, Masada's not unsafe about it, but he's not gonna hold back.
Yeah.
So if you don't equal what he's giving you, he's gonna do his
Take
thing.
advantage.
But then it's always been good because it's not like he's being unsafe or anything. It ends up just looking fucking brutal because you hit him back. He's like, all right, this is the kind of match we're having. Let's fucking do this. And I like that shit.
Yeah.
I'm all about realism. I'd rather someone catch me a little bit than throw a shitty looking strike. You catch me a little bit, that's one thing. I'll tell you to calm down. We'll continue with the match. You start throwing those fucking air strikes. Now you're making our match look like shit. You're embarrassing me. You're embarrassing yourself. You're ruining what we had. You're going to lose the fucking crowd. Now you're pissing me off. You do that too many times, I'm going to have to change it around and bring this match back to realism, and no one fucking likes that.
Right. That's why, like, going back when we were talking about chops, like I think, dude, when I get that first chop, yeah, it sucks, but like, when you give it back and then, you kind of have that look of like, yeah, all right. And then, you're doing that thing back and forth. It's like, you don't feel it anymore. Like, it's now that adrenaline, like, pumped in. And now you're like, dude, now this is real, and it feels real. You have that adrenaline, the same shit. Like, it's fourth down and fucking one on the, on the goal line. Like, like that feel. And I think that's what makes a good match. That you can't call every spot. I mean, and not that you, like, there's those that you can, but I mean, like, what we're talking about, like that, like now I'm into it. Like now it's real. It's real, and that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it fun for some, and then some it's just a job.
I like working guys who aren't gonna, turn a little divas if we hit hard. I mean, I'm not gonna ruin anyone's day. I want everyone to be able to go to work tomorrow. I like to be snug. I like shit to look good.
Yeah.
It's my personal preference.
It's all about the gift, man.
Exactly. Wrestle for the gifts.
So a good one is so why is Fireball the best whiskey?
I'll tell you why Fireball is the best whiskey. Because anybody, and I'm saying anybody, every single person in the world who says that they like drinking scotch or bourbon or whiskey is a fucking liar.
I'm not a
They are
fucking liar.
lying.
I love
You are
it. I
fucking.
love scotch.
No, you fucking don't. You
I do.
convince yourself that you do. Whiskey,
I am literally
bourbon,
changing. I'm
tastes like
fucking
fucking
changing the
chemicals.
name of my show to fucking Scotch with Kit, and I will buy a 12-year Macallan every fucking week, and I will drink a whole bottle in front of everybody out of spite.
That's the thing, though. People only do it because they think they're supposed to. It's like maybe you believe you. I guarantee you. I believe you. I believe that you believe you like it, but you don't. It is fucking chemicals. It doesn't taste like anything your body should be ingesting. Now, what makes Fireball special is all the sugar.
What, cinnamon?
Because of all that sugar and all
that doesn't
cinnamon,
belong in your body.
Of course it does. It tastes delicious. That's why there's a fucking black market for sugar because it's such a fucking awesome ingredient. And it tastes good. It tastes like an actual beverage. I can grab a bottle of Fireball room temperature and just start fucking going. You can't do that with fucking Macallan, you fucking prick. It's chemicals.
I mean, dude, I'm talking about that it gives you a certain type of buzz, and it gives you and you wake up different. You wake up like $1 million, because it doesn't have that sugar in it. It's gonna fuck your life up.
I mean, I don't really drink to those points. I mean, my hangovers are always minimal anyway.
Well, you missed the whole point of the fucking show.
Well, you didn't bring me any fucking wine. I wasn't prepared. Again, I told you I'd work and then I had a nap. I was busy with my nap.
Fair enough. I mean, this show, like as I've said before, it's really for me. It's so that I have an excuse during the week that I could drink an entire bottle of wine, get like literally almost to the point of shit faced, but you wouldn't know it until after the show, and then I get to go home feeling like, hey, I accomplished something today, uncorked with Kit, like.
What time do you have to be up for work tomorrow?
Dude, I'm a pro wrestler. That's all I know. I don't work tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lucky fuck.
Well. But what is it? When it comes to that was obviously you've had those experiences with your.
I was about to tell this story, but I decided to tell something different. But
Okay.
I am going to tell it because the person's watching. Steve Scott. So this wasn't Steve's fault at all. But I got angry to the point where I was ready to just hospitalize this person because I was so angry at him. It wasn't his fault at all. It was just me being an asshole. It was when we were wrestling and I told everybody and their mothers, just so you know, don't touch my fucking wrench. Whatever you do, I don't care what happens. Just don't touch the fucking wrench. Just don't fucking do it. And Steve picked up the wrench and I lost my fucking shit. I was selling his finisher. He just won the match and then he went and picked up my wrench. And I look up and he's standing in the corner just waving the wrench in the air.
Oh, God.
I popped up immediately and just strolled right the fuck to the curtain. And I was ready to get through the curtain. I was just going to turn around, wait for him to come through that curtain and beat the shit out of him. But I decided to not. I decided to walk away. I walked away. I literally walked blocks from the venue. I just walked. I was so angry. But then I collected myself. I remembered that I never told Steve not to pick up the wrench.
Tell us why you couldn't pick up the wrench.
Oh, because I was doing the Thor's hammer gimmick. It was the whole thing was that no one else had the ability to pick it up. Yeah. So when he picked it up, he kind of killed that. But I never told him that. And I realized that on my long walk. I got back to the venue. Everyone told Steve, what the fuck did you do? Conor's fucking livid because I walked that curtain. I like threw my bag. I think I broke the fucking door leaving the building. But I regained myself. I realized I never told Steve not to pick up the wrench. Not his fucking fault.
Right.
I was kind of me being an asshole. But I forget what question you asked, but I almost told that story either. I decided to tell it because I see that he was watching.
Yeah, that you almost like, I know what you mean, like a bad angle.
Yeah.
The other one is who's your favorite to work with? Who's your favorite wrestler to have a match with?
Trooper Audubon. No. Probably one of my favorite people that I've ever worked. Rex Lawless is an incredibly fun person to work. He's one of those guys that, like, we don't need to say things in the ring because we're just always on the same fucking page. Cannonball is always fun to work with because he's always just like, yeah, sure. I love doing stupid, silly things. They're just fucking stupid for no reason. Cannonball's about that. Some guys are really not about that.
Yeah, some are really like they're just, I don't know, they're like set in their ways. And
yeah.
It's
least favorite people to work, Drew Gulak.
Because he fucking just tests you. Like
exactly.
He just...
We were working one time, and I don't really know what kind of hold I'm on. I'm like on my chest, but my legs are like twisted up, like bent up, scorpion over my head, and he's pushing on it. And I look at him like, Drew, my knee doesn't go any farther, and I just see like a big fucking shit-eating grin come over his face, and he just shoves it down even harder. Like, that's like he loves that shit. I was literally like pressing on my own knee so that like I don't fucking shatter my leg. But yeah, that he loved doing that stuff.
We could have a whole thing on just Drew and like how, you know, you go about like if you tell him something that you don't like, guaranteed he's gonna do it and without a doubt. And then there's those you know, like, hey, Drew, can you watch the match? Tell me what you think. Can you watch my promo? And then it's never anything good. Like, nothing.
Drew, what did you think of my match? What did you think of your match?
Oh God.
that was his token line.
I got that one, and then I've also gotten oh yeah, it was good. Oh wait, your match? No, I didn't like it. What the
fuck? He has those planned out. He has those ready.
Oh yeah, and you know it was always that. Like he's fucking Stu Hart. He would just try to stretch you out, and then like
I'm not a fucking wrestling nerd. Who the fuck is Stu Hart?
He's just.
Is he married to Bret Hart?
Well, he's dead. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
So, but what Drew would do is like, if you ever told him anything, he's always going to do the opposite. And also, if you see him smile, you're like, oh shit, you know what's up? You know, what's happening next? You know. But obviously, like he's, you know, just everything we ever learned from him. Like he'll fuck with us, but he'll also give us like the most knowledge and obviously he knows his shit. Like where
he doesn't exactly radiate it, but Drew is one of the most twisted people I've ever worked.
Dude, 100%. He's just, you know what? I think he's smarter than a psychopath that will never know what he's capable of.
He definitely plays his hand close to his chest.
100%. Who is that? So you didn't actually answer. I mean, what's your what the hell was this? Let me actually look. I thought I could remember this shit. I can't.
You don't write this shit down?
Yeah, who's your favorite wrestler? And then there's why. And then I already asked you what your favorite thing about wrestling is.
Did?
The other is, huh?
You did?
Yeah. Well, unless you have something different all of a sudden.
No, we'll go with whatever I said.
Yeah, you don't even remember it. Yeah, you don't even remember it. The drugs and alcohol. So, with with how everything's going now in COVID, the other question here is, what's your plan in 2021? What goals do you have? That was literally one, and the reason why I asked is because I knew your eyes were gonna be like, goals. What the fuck are you talking about?
Goals are for people who give a fuck. I mean, just keep wrestling, maybe work a few more places. I want to work more Jersey indies. I'm kind of, I don't like traveling anymore. I'm old. I hate flying. 8-hour car rides suck ass even more. I'm actually going to Ohio this weekend. Derek from Unsanctioned Pro talked me into it. He promised me I wouldn't have to drive, things like that. Just so you know, if you're not watching GCW this weekend, go watch Unsanctioned Pro. Hardcore Cup. Or no, it's not live. I think they're taping. I don't fucking know things.
Nice plug. Tell us a travel story, whether good or bad, but like one that is like the most memorable for you.
Probably the worst was going to Canada because I never even got into Canada. It was me, Danny Havoc, Devin Moore, and Lucky 13. And it was we were Team CZW. Do you remember what the fuck company we were going against?
No, not at all. I don't get invited because DJ, didn't value me.
Okay. IWS. Is that a Canadian company? Is that right? IWS?
Probably.
Okay.
It sounds Canadian,
So, sure.
Dude, those letters are Canadian letters.
3 letters. Yeah. So it was me, Danny Havoc, Devin Moore, and Lucky 13. We were going up there to wrestle the Hardcore Ninjas, Vampiro.
Vampiro?
Yeah, and I forget. There's a 4th one. It was a 4-on-4. Again, I don't remember. This was years ago. But anyway, drove 7 hours up to Montreal to go through the fucking border. We're going to the Canadian border, so we threw away all our weed. Then we get to the border. Turns out I'm not allowed in Canada. And that was disappointing because that was going to be my first internet match. So I had to go and sit. I wasn't allowed in Canada.
Yeah, why?
Because I had a violent charge in the past 10 years.
Okay.
I had a simple assault. So I wasn't allowed to go into Canada. So I had to sit in a hotel room in upstate New York for 10 hours watching like the same fucking show because they only had like 3 fucking stations. No weed. There wasn't any bars anywhere. And I didn't have my car because I couldn't get in. They dropped me off at the hotel, and then Devin Moore, Danny Havoc, and Lucky took my car to the show in Canada while I sat at the fucking hotel.
How far
was
the hotel you were at to the show?
Not too far because it was right over the border in Canada.
Okay.
So that trip stands out to me for shitty reasons. Not really a cool story. I wish I should have been more prepared. I can't think of any of the cool stories. I know I've had cool travel stories.
So apparently, all right. So
do you remember any of my cool travel stories? Can you start me off?
Oh yeah, let me get my book out. Like
you seem to remember shit. I don't.
That was 2015.
What
That
was
IWS Hardcore, and on that same show, Sozio worked Rory Gorak on the show, and he drove up with Dan O'Hare. Yeah,
that was really 2015.
2015, dude. That was 6 years ago. Isn't that fucking hard to believe?
Christ. Yeah.
Like every day, it gets worse and worse.
I have so many wrestling stories. For some reason, I can't remember them. Have you ever heard of one that you can start me off with that you remember that you liked?
I mean, so the other was not travel stories, but I remember. I mean, really, the one I got brought up with, like, at least a work story, was when you and I uh were in Tournament of Death. It was my first Tournament of Death, and we were going off the scaffold, and so I was brought up the question of, well, how did that become like an idea, and and then all I thought about was how, yeah, I didn't really have a choice,
Nope.
and I was just told what we were gonna do. I was more worried than I would be now, and there's a lot of feedback. There's more worried than I am now. I keep hearing myself.
I'm holding my thumb over the speaker. So that
Yeah, that's what you're not supposed to do.
Well, if I take my thumb off it, all you'll do is hear yourself.
No, now it's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, when we had that, and then you came up with the one spot. Well, you didn't just come up with it. You just said, "Hey, this is what you're doing. This is what you're taking," and then that's it. And I was like,
yeah,
"Oh,
pretty much."
all right."
You want? So I'll tell you the story of why you ended up doing that spot with me.
Yeah,
So,
DJ wanted me to get hurt.
Yep. I don't know what you did to make him angry. He probably told
Literally
me at the
nothing.
time.
Just try to make a name.
Probably. Again, I don't remember. So I was talking to DJ, and we were talking about we were at Eddie Blackwooder's house. We were at a party at Eddie Blackwooder's house. So I'm sitting on the couch. It's me, DJ, and then Dave McCall. Wasn't passed out drunk. He just does this weird thing where he sometimes just falls asleep at parties, and there's nothing you can do to wake him up. He is fucking out.
He is a brick. It's like it's fucking
weirdest thing.
unbelievable.
But anyway, we were talking about the barbed wire trampoline, and I'm telling him, like, DJ, I gotta go bigger than last year. I can't just land on a barbed wire trampoline like I did last year. We got to add something to it. We got to add glass, fire, an explosion, something. We got to make this bigger. And he's like, well, who's going to be willing to take that? And I'm like, I don't know. And he goes, I want you to do it to Kid Osborne. I want you to fuck him up. And I'm like, done. You got it, Deej. And I had no intention of hurting you, but I just thought, like, oh, cool. I'd rather lift up a 170-pound guy and go off a scaffold than a fucking fat 250-pound Dan O'Hare.
Yeah, you guys are 100% touching the cement or whatever.
Oh yeah, that fucking sucked. Me and Dan went straight to the fucking ground.
Oh yeah.
Turns out
but it
there's
looked
a weight
cool
limit for barbed wire trampolines, and me and Dan exceeded.
I mean, it definitely looked cooler. But I much rather, not. First of all, you took care of me like crazy. Like I felt like I didn't really hit anything. I think I bitched about some of my hair getting caught, and then you were like, "Get off of me." Get off of me. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm selling. You're like, get the fuck off of me.
Yep. I remember we landed, and you're just like fucking laying on me while I'm on the barbed wire. And I remember that. I'm like, get off me. And you just didn't move. And I'm like, get off me. Get the fuck off me.
I was like, oh yeah. And then I got up, and like, to be honest, it was like, whoo, man. I could have died, and nobody would have cared, but like I do, and I'm happy I'm still alive. Layla Hirsch was there, and like, dude, what the fuck, like right up my face.
There's
like,
a great,
get away from me, fuck.
The video of it on my Instagram, you can see Layla in the corner reacting to us falling. Like, she literally like jumps up in the air, like hold the spring, like, you're shaking her fist. she was like terrified for us watching.
I know
that
she was
happen.
more scared than we were. I was like, all right, this is it. This is the last time I'm gonna walk, and an artery might get torn off. But fuck it, And then we did it, and then everything, and we hit it the one time, and then I forgot that. Oh yeah, that's right. This is like a trampoline. We're gonna bounce, and then we did, and then
I was well aware of the bounce from the previous year. Now, I do have to say, the quality of the trampolines has gone down. And what I mean by that is the very, very first year it was done, me, Mitch, and Layla essentially put it together.
Yeah.
And we made it so fucking tight. We could have put half the roster on that and it still wouldn't have gone to the ground. The next year, the year that we did it, I don't know if you remember, I overslept that morning. I
was late as shit.
I didn't show up to Court of the Death until the show actually had already started. So the trampoline was already built. The kids didn't do. I could see right away that it was loose, but it was tight enough. Now, the year me and Dan did it, which was the worst because, for one thing, this is the most weight that's ever hitting one of these trampolines. I was telling these kids, I'm like, yo, you guys got to make this shit tighter. Now, so I show up, and they did it wrong because the wire is supposed to be all one strand. You don't go across, cut it off, and tie it. It's all one strand throughout the way throughout the whole trampoline.
It just tightens it as it goes along.
Like I showed up, and they had it like individual strands going across. And I'm just like,
oh my God, you're going to fall through it.
On this. I'm just like, sorry, guys, you're going to have to redo that. So they cut that all off and had to redo the whole thing. So I don't think they gave a fuck. They basically just put that on. So it was the most weight that was ever hitting it. And it was also happened to be the loosest barbed wire trampoline we've ever had.
If you didn't have them redo it, that shit would have broke.
Oh, it would have snapped right off, and me and Dan would have slammed that cement and gotten seriously hurt.
You wouldn't have just slammed the cement. Like, some of that wouldn't have broke, and then it would have sliced everything and every part.
Exactly. You would have slid it.
Yeah,
so
that's bad news.
The person who saved the day was the very first time I ever made the trampoline. That's actually how I started making it. And Madman Pondo was there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he walked up to me and he's like, no. Stop. You need to stop what you're doing, restart all over again. This needs to be all one strand. And when Madman Pondo tells you something he doesn't even need to speak with conviction. If Pondo tells you you're doing something wrong, you fix it and do what he says. So when I hear Pondo telling me very, very, what's what I'm looking for? With a lot of conviction, basically, that I need to change this, I'm going to believe him and change it to one
he's adamant about, like, you have to change this.
Madman Pondo saved the day on that one. I would have gotten hurt if it wasn't for him.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, he's one of those dudes. It's funny, like, he's one of those dudes that, like, you just, anytime you see him, and he's so excited to work.
Oh, yeah.
But he's just such a nice fucking dude, and you're like, dude, I'd be miserable, like, if I were you, like, at this point. Like, I'd be like, I know what you've done.
I don't think there's many people who enjoy wrestling as much as Pondo.
Dude, I hope. Maybe one day I will. Up until now, like, you and I are in the same boat. Like, I just do it, like, I love telling stories, and then I also don't feel like I'm capable of doing anything else. And if I stop doing this, everything else would deteriorate around me.
Some people make their careers without telling a story. They make careers by having those firework matches where there's no rhyme or reason to any of it, but it's just so fucking cool and spectacular and awesome looking. And, a lot of people will say, oh, that's, they'll pull the fucking Jim Cornette, like, that's not fucking wrestling, blah, 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 blah. Like, no, like, it puts
wrestling can be anything.
And it gets them fucking paid. It is wrestling. It just may not be the kind of wrestling you like, but people make careers off it. It puts asses in seats.
Yeah. So as we're cutting it a little close, the last point, the last part, I wanted to name some names. I want to get your thoughts on them. So some wrestlers, workers,
Are we
and
talking
even
personally or what I think of their wrestling ability?
well, some are going to be promoters as well. And then I wanted to see, what your thoughts are. And it doesn't have to be. It's not a one-word answer because Jesus Christ, how many? Like if I heard your name on a list, I'd be like, shithead. And then
All right, let's get the torch because we're gonna burn some bridges.
Yeah, let's do that. So, we're gonna start it off. Chris Bradley, you were his first match. First match ever. He was an H2O student. Give me your thoughts on him from the time you met him up until like now you see him, and then obviously we've hung out. I think.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on Chris Bradley?
I like Chris. I like the direction he's headed in. He's a big fucking beefy dude. He probably shouldn't wear all that fucking gear. I think he should, take that shit off and show those big fucking beefy body that he's got. He looks this is something I've always said. You don't have to be a six-pack ab kind of guy. You have to look like somebody who can hurt somebody. Take that shit off, Chris. You're a fucking monster. You're taller than everybody, bigger than everybody. Why are you covering it up?
Absolutely. Yeah, I tell him all the time, and I'm like, dude, how many, like, why are you wearing a fucking scarf? Like, get the fuck out of here with your bandana. Jesus Christ. So the next one, Frankie Picard.
I think I don't ever want to wrestle him again.
Why is that?
Frankie, because we've had too many fucking matches. We've had at least 40 to 50 matches. I think that's enough. I love Frankie. I don't want to work him anymore. Nothing else we can do. I love the fucking horse. Yeah, I like Frankie.
Oh, dude, that was hilarious when he came in there.
It's like,
I mean,
okay.
if there's any like,
it sounded like I'm being negative against Frankie. Put it this way. Say you even have your favorite food, but say you eat your favorite food all day, every day for a couple months,
it's
you're
not your
eventually
favorite
going
food
to fucking hate
anymore.
it. I'm sure he feels the same way.
And that's a compliment, man. I mean, if there's, any negative, like, dude, Frankie has always been so much fun to wrestle. Dude, I can hear myself.
Oh, sorry, I had my finger on the thing again.
Frankie is one of those dudes that, like, I always enjoyed wrestling, especially at Dojo Wars. I haven't, however, in so long, and I would love to do that. The only thing is, like, and I would say it, like, I say it to him. I'll say it to him because I know he's going to watch. It's like, Frankie, stop eating McDonald's, man. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, dude, I've never seen a Buddha belly like that in my life. Like, and I'll say that to him. He'll probably punch me in the throat.
Frankie, I like Frankie because Frankie's got that weird body. He's got like some nice arms. He's got really big traps. He reminds me of the Black Randy from Trailer Park Boys. That's what I see when I look at Frankie.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And
right? Am I right? That's what I see.
Oh man, Frankie Power.
By the way, I'm gonna blow up his spot right now. Frankie prefers his very first gimmick. He was a computer hacker gimmick, and he was the Upload Frankie Picard. That was my favorite.
Upload.
The
oh
Upload.
My God. What was oh my God. Veritas. Was Adam Cole's tag partner, and he stopped wrestling. I ran into him one time, but it doesn't matter. I don't know why I just drew a blank, but his name was like HD Veritas or something like that. And I'm like, anything to do with like computers, or like, oh hey man, high def.
Veritas,
like,
isn't that Latin?
Or like something stupid, like the selfie superstar,
Oh
All
gosh.
right. The other, Brett Lauderdale.
Brett. Oh, me and Brett have a funny background. So back when Brett stopped reffing at CZW and he first started, going at odds with DJ. Basically he was reffing. I think Sammy picked him up and slammed him. Again, I don't know what happened. At the time I was only hearing DJ's side of the story, which is like Brett was threatening to sue. And DJ's like, and I was a student at the time wearing the yellow staff shirt. And he told me, he's like, Brett Lauderdale's out in the parking lot. I want you to go out there right now, grab him, and throw him off the property. Now, but at the time that kind of made me torn because I just started becoming friends with Danny Havoc and Devin Moore and all those guys, and they were cool with Brett. So when I went out there, I'm like, you know what? I probably shouldn't listen to DJ. I better probably be in my best interest to not be. I didn't really know Brett at the time. I'm like, I think it'd be against my better judgment to not, try to physically throw Brett away. And I went out there. I'm like, hey, Brett, DJ wants me to violently throw you out, but I'm not going to do that because, obviously I can't because you're friends with Devin Moore and Danny Havoc and them. And I ended up just talking with Brett for a while. Brett's a cool dude. He's straightforward.
Yeah.
What I like about my favorite thing about Brett is every time I bug him all the time on Facebook, like, hey, book me. I'm ready for this. I'm available for this date. He messages me back a lot. And he's always like, don't have anything for you, man. Don't have anything for you right now. Blah, 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 blah. And that's fine. Everyone, I don't expect every promoter to want to book me, but at least he messages me back. I really like that. Most promoters just don't even read the message or either book me or they don't read the message or reply to it.
It's funny. Just recently, I was trying to. I was reaching out to him, but I didn't get anything. Normally he responds like 100%, but he wasn't on all the other on what I was messaging him on, and I was like, well, why don't I just text him? But he goes because I was like, hey, I messaged Jimmy. And I was like, Jimmy, I'm trying to get a hold of Brett. I just wanted to let him know of something. And then he just sends me a screenshot. He's like, Kit's known me for like fucking 15 years. And like, he still spells my name wrong. Like, fuck him. Like, I was like, all right,
let's see if I can spell Brett's name right off the top of my head.
I fuck it up. I spell it.
It's
with 2 T's, and I fuck it up every time.
It's 2 T's, right?
Yeah, but I always use like my speech to text, and then when I say Brett, like it's BRET, and then I'm like, dude, there's no wonder why. He's like, get the fuck out of here, and I'm like, yeah, all right, fair enough.
Side story: my boss will send me emails that has my first name, on the email address, and she still spells 2 N's.
You're the only Conor I know that it's spelled that way.
Have you never heard of Conor McGregor?
Never heard of him. What does he do? Is he a football player?
He's an actor.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right. He does too. So we have 2 more. The other one, I said Brett, and this one, DJ.
So I could sit here for 2 to 3 or 4 hours maybe telling stories about what a scumbag piece of shit DJ Hyde is.
I would prefer
easily,
that
no
if you
problem.
want to go with it.
I can also defend DJ because in recent months, a lot of the things that I see that people are saying about DJ aren't true.
They're over exaggerated, 100%.
Like the one thing DJ is super fucking creepy with girls. He hits on every girl that ever he comes in contact with. Some guys like to fish with a lot of lines in the water. DJ is one of those guys. At the end of the day, he understands limits and to the sense where when a girl says no, he understands that, which it turns out to be not too common of a trait in wrestling. It turns out we found out this past year.
Yeah.
But, he can be creepy and aggressive with the girls, but as soon as they tell him no, fuck off, he fucks off You know, he does like to, you know, he's working on, and I've talked about this with him, he's going to work on not using the gay F word or the N word and things like that.
Yeah.
So, and so at the end of the day, like, DJ Hyde can be a scumbag. He's done a lot of scummy fucking things, but, you know, nothing that's like nothing that's like a deal breaker for me and CZW. You know what I mean? As opposed to like a lot of guys, like Rob fucking Fury steals from fucking charity shows. Like, fuck that guy. I would never work for that guy. DJ, I can see it for hours. I said and talk shit, but at the end of the day, I work for him.
I think DJ is, you know, you could boil it down to like, in a sense, in one word to describe it would be ignorance. But like, he's not an ignorant individual. Like, he just sometimes
he's working us all, bro. He knows what he's doing.
He's misinformed. But I think that, you know, like, you know, I have, obviously I left CZW because of, you know, finally listening. But that doesn't mean that I want CZW to fail or I want DJ to be looked at in a certain way, because, you know, he is somebody that trained us, and we know, I know a lot of what I know from him, but I just think like he's just one of those dudes that, you know, when you give him that extra edge, he's going to fuck it up. and then, you know, he just kind of, I think he needs to just like issue a big apology type of thing, and he has to do it in a actual meaningful way that people will believe it.
Honestly,
which I don't think he's capable of doing.
Ever do something like that, he would just get persecuted more. I think
he would try to put something else over.
What?
He would try to put something else over.
Maybe, yeah, probably. I think DJ's best bet is just to let things fade, just keep his mouth shut and let things fade, if anything, if ever.
I think wrestling for him is over. And I think if he wants to open CZW back up, I think if he opens up, you know, CZW and they have a show, it's like, dude, don't even have your name attached to it. Like, and
I mean, there's some people in this business that I know, like, I've even mentioned them before. If they're still
we know
running,
shittier people, but we know shittier people, but we know that they're not
like
shut down yet.
What?
I was saying, we know shittier people,
and I said,
you
like,
know,
Sozio.
but by who?
Sozio, scumbag,
the biggest scumbag on the planet.
I've ever met in my life.
Oh, dude, he's still holding on to like his hairline. It's like unbelievable.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, dude. Listen, you're a dad, and you're done, and that's it. You know, you're like your little fucking. He's got these little string bean arms now. You know, it's like, dude, it's over. It's over. Danielle can kick the shit out of you. You know, but
that's probably true.
And then the last one I wanted to leave on, something positive, because you just wrestled him on No Peace.
I thrive on negativity.
Typo negative.
I said I thrive on negativity.
I know you did. But this one, you just wrestled him, and I wanted to name a wrestler that I think we both we think he's the shit. Masada.
Oh yeah, Masada's fucking awesome. You can't have a bad match with Masada. Unless you're DJ Hyde.
Absolutely. He actually isn't the last one. I just had to flip my fucking napkin over, because that's what I write shit on. But
yeah.
But with Masada, like, I love Masada, and I think, you know, he's one of those dudes that I kind of look at like Chris Dickinson.
Yeah.
Like, I love Chris Dickinson. I think he's the shit, and I'm so happy when I got to wrestle him. But I was very intimidated, you know, and then, but I was intimidated in a good way. Whereas like
Dickinson's
like,
not that
what
kind of
are we
guy.
gonna do? Like, I know that he is like, he's in it. Like, and I'm like, I'm only so used to being, on that level, but I'm not really used to somebody, it's a real fight, and I love it. But he's like that out of the gate. I didn't even get my adrenaline in yet, like that's what I do it on. He is like behind the curtain, he hears his fucking music, and he's fucking ready to like just beat the shit out of everything in his way. Whereas like I was like not used to that until he blew my eardrum out, and then I was like, I'm fucking ready now. Like, but Masada, I think is like that, where like as you described, like you hit you with a forearm or whatever, you hit him right back the same way, and you're like, all right.
And that's how the match goes, and it looks fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Every single person in that building gets invested because there's not a moment that they think, okay, that didn't look too bad. Every single little thing looks like it fucking hurts, and that's gonna pull a crowd in.
Absolutely. And then the last one is Danny Havoc.
I mean, there's too much to say there, really. I mean, I can talk about that for a while.
You have all the time in the world.
I love working Danny Havoc. I posted on my Instagram recently one page of what it's like to work Danny Havoc. Anytime we would have a match, I would start getting the emails of the sketches. I don't know if you've ever seen his deathmatch gimmick sketches.
Yeah, plenty.
They're wonderful. He'll write me out pages, and I'm talking like when he writes out what he wants to do in a match, it would take me about 30 minutes just to read it once, because that's how much like thought and planning he put into things. He actually he watched everything. He always watched it. When we would wrestle, like I remember we wrestled like 2017 or 18. He was bringing up moves that I used to do that I don't remember ever doing. But he's like, oh, that one match versus this one person in fucking Tennessee in 2016, you did this, so we're going to do that now. And like, it was the coolest thing. But he's another guy. You can't have a bad match with Danny Havoc. It's impossible.
I think he's like one of the smartest individuals I've ever met. I mean, his vocabulary alone is just, it's enough that, I mean, dude, I was an English major in college, and when I talk to him, like normally, like these are the things that he says are things that like I would write down because I have enough time to think that that's a synonym of the word that I'm trying to think, and like he just says it like it's nothing. And I'm like, dude, you're kind of, you're blowing me away. And, you'd be confused by like little things like, I'm trying to like me reaching out to him for a certain reason, but he would like assume something. And then he would message me going, oh, I assumed X, Y, and Z. But then I came to realize that you were actually just trying to discuss with me this. And I'm like, dude, I just wanted to know what the fuck you were doing this weekend. Like, and that's it.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Danny Havoc never got signed because he never wanted, not that he didn't want to get signed, but he never wanted to work towards it, I guess. I don't know if that's a good way to put it. The smartest workers I've ever known, but it's one of those things where like, the only reason he was never signed because he didn't want to be. He didn't really want to be. He could have achieved anything he wanted to. He just he only did what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When it was my, I got it wasn't until after the my first death match ever with Dan O'Hare, Jimmy Lloyd, and Georgie.
I remember yelling at Jimmy before that match.
And yeah, Jimmy also gave me a gig that match, and it was literally like it might as well have been a knife. And then
That's what I used.
Man Pondo was there. Man Pondo was like, what the fuck is that? And then he grabbed it from me, and then he cut it right, and he made me my first gig ever. You know, and he yelled at Jimmy about it, and that was the funniest thing ever. I'm like, this is the best fucking first death match I'm ever gonna have. But you know, after that match, you know, when Devin jumped off that scaffold like an idiot, like he thought, like, dude, what did you think was gonna happen? You fucking idiot, you know, and he hurt his foot, he broke his ankle or whatever. And then I came in there, didn't even tie my shoes yet. I'm like, I don't even know who's on my team. And I rolled in the ring, and then I looked at Danny, and Danny goes, "Kit, like, what are you doing in here?" I'm like, "I'm Devin Moore now," and I punched him, and then that was it. And then like from there, like we had that whole moment. But, you know, we just had some fun. And then, of course, like the table doesn't break and then nothing works out in the end. But like that moment where I held his head and he's looking at me and he just goes, "Kit, what are you doing in here?" And I go, "Dude, Devin Moore is hurt and I'm Devin Moore now." And I fucking punched him in the head. And then he was like, "Oh, all right." And that was it. You know, I
think that you're lucky that me and Danny Havoc don't think the same way, because I've heard a couple like wrestling horror stories. If I'm working a match and someone who's not in my match or I don't know is involved in something comes out and gets in the ring, I'm immediately assuming they're shooting and I'm going to start shooting back.
Yeah, that's some PTSD shit, man. Or you know what? No, not that. It's that's some CC East shit that we were talking about to start with. You know, like, everybody's a threat until they're not. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like again, maybe if it was you, I probably wouldn't think that. But like, if I'm working a match and some worker backstage who I don't really know well, all of a sudden is coming out and getting in the ring, that's the first thing I'm assuming is that they're shooting and I need to shoot back.
That's fair enough. I mean, I also had this belief that because you knew it was me and we know each other, that you would freak out anyway. You know, just
I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? And then I probably slap you before you have a chance to answer.
Yeah, exactly. Connor, so this weekend you're in what area?
I'm in Ohio at Unsanctioned Pro for the Hardcore Cup.
All right. I want to, you know, I didn't realize what time it was. Like, holy shit. Because, I mean, really, like, what this conversation is a little bit different than, I think, any other, is I was like, dude, I've known you for way too long. Like, fuck it. We'll see what happens, you know? But, dude, I appreciate you coming on, you know, as a
honestly, I want to let you know how special you are, because this is normally my squad PUBG time for video games. My squad, I've gotten like 3 Xbox invites during the show, so I want you to know that's something I gave up for you, and you should feel special.
I do appreciate it, you fucking nerd, but so I mean, I'm sure I'll see you soon. But again, hey, thank you for doing my show with me, and you know, and obviously, and I mean this from the fucking heart. Please. Go fuck yourself.
Thank you. That means a lot coming from you.
Thank you, man. All right, take care.
All right, Kit. Have a good night.
All right, you too, brother.